episode 61.
This episode is brought to you by The Collective, which is our monthly membership community for ambitious women who want to continue to build their careers whilst raising a family. Now, once you've had a baby, things might change for you. Once you become a mum, you might be thinking differently about your career, and negotiating what you want can be tough. So within this community, we'll help you to figure out where you want to go with your career and how you could get there. So whether you are switching direction, whether you want to build on what you've already developed in your career thus far, whether you want to launch your own business, we are there to support you step by step, providing the tools, the guidance, the coaching, and the community that you need to move boldly towards the career that you want. So if you're interested in joining an awesome group of women as you navigate the highs and lows of your career beyond motherhood, then head over to lightboxcoaching.com/collective-waitlist and get your name on the list so that I can let you know when the doors will be opening again. We would love to have you join us. Hi, you're listening to the Careers Beyond Motherhood podcast with your host, Janine Esbrand. I'm here to help working mums like you to thrive in your careers and in motherhood. I share tips, strategies, and inspirational conversations with awesome women to help reduce the struggle in your juggle.
Time for say, Mummy.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It is great to be back with you again today. Whether you are a long-time listener or a first-time listener of the show, I appreciate you tuning in. You may well be doing some gardening, some driving, you might be cooking or playing with the kids, and you are tuning into this episode and bringing me along with you, and I appreciate that because there's lots of things you could be listening to. So on today's episode, we are going to be diving into a topic which is really important for every working mum, and that is organisation and organisational hacks, because life is busy, there are so many things to juggle, there's so many balls in the air. So if we can get more organised, it can help us to reduce stress and anxiety and just feel like we are getting the things done. And my guest today is somebody who is truly amazing. She is one of the founding members of my membership community, The Collective, and I'm excited because she's going to come and share a bit about her journey, how she went from feeling overwhelmed and not quite sure what to do while she was on maternity leave to securing the ability to work part-time, and now she is working part-time, juggling with the demands of family life, and she is just launching a passion project which she's wanted to do for a long time. So I'm super duper proud of her. She is somebody who shows up and gets the work done. She is committed. I remember having kind of a task in one of our monthly accountability calls, and when I followed up with her to ask her how it was going, she shared with me that a family member had been ill, and you know, there were lots of things that were going on that month. But even though that was the case, and I expected her to then say that she wasn't able to hit her target and get the work done that she had committed to doing, she had done far more than I expected, and that's just testament to how she is. She's totally a doer and totally committed. So we're going to dive in, and she's going to share with us some great ways that we can approach organisation in an intentional way and in a way that doesn't have us feeling overwhelmed and guilty. I just love her perspective. So without further ado, let's jump into my conversation with Catherine Tupy.
Hi, Katy. Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited. Could you introduce yourself to our audience?
Yes, my name is Katy, or Catherine Tupy, and I am an instructional designer by trade and a wife and a mother of 2 under 3, but for the rest of the time. I've also just starting into the podcast world myself. My interests are in organization and productivity, especially for mothers who are on the same journey that I am right now.
Awesome. There's so much I want to ask you about. Exciting, but firstly, let's start with talking me through a bit about your journey with your career, pre and post motherhood. So tell me what your career looked like before and then what it looks like now.
Well, pre-motherhood, there was times even before pre-marriage where I was working. I think the highest number of hours I clocked in was at 76 hours one week that I had worked. Transitioned out of that job. My background is in healthcare. So I worked in various forms, from data entry to customer service to compliance, working and that legal aspect there. And then I really found a passion in training and teaching. So went in that direction. And I mean, I worked, a salaried job. So I'd work anywhere from, my full-time hours all the way to, 50, 60 hours, depending on what I was doing. And then I had a child. And my commute I live in the Twin Cities area of Minnesota. So it's right not too far from the capital, Minnesota. And my commute was into Minneapolis, which is downtown, which is very far away from my house. So I was spending, on a good day, 10 hours a day away from my newborn, or my child. I mean, I went back at the 3 months. So I guess technically she wasn't a newborn then, but I was averaging 10 hours a day with just my commute away from my baby. And that was not what I had signed up for. So I found a job a little bit closer doing the same thing, got some additional education, and have been able to knock my hours down to part-time now. So I'm still able to receive benefits, but I'm working 3 days a week.
Awesome. And you are one of the lovely members of my membership community, the Collective. And when you first joined the Collective, you were at that stage where you were heading back to work after maternity leave for your second baby. So can you talk to us a bit about that transition for you when you were considering going back part-time, and then how you kind of made that transition?
Yes. So actually, when I was on maternity leave is when I had found your group. And I really didn't, this was after my second child, I should say. So I had a toddler at home at the time. We had just lost our daycare. My daughter only went to daycare 1 day a week with my husband and mother-in-law's schedules. So that was really blessed, but we had just lost that. And I wanted to be a home. And so I was looking for support in how I could juggle 2 kids and my career and pursue other passions and pay attention to my husband.
All the things.
All the things. And I found the Collective, and there were a number of women who had professional jobs who were working part-time. And of course, I had been exposed to this in healthcare with providers working part-time, but I didn't know that was going to be a reality in my exact career field. Nobody at my job was only working part-time in my exact position. After getting the confidence and the suggestions and everything that came along with my own research with the Collectives, make sure you ask for this. And when they say this, don't say anything. Don't talk. Just let them think it out. I got the confidence. I don't know if I ever told you this. I was at home on maternity leave, right? And I'm getting ready to have this conversation about, I want to go back part-time. So I literally got dressed like I was going to work.
I love
my
it.
kids were asleep. I got dressed because I'm like, I can't be wearing my leggings and t-shirt for this. I need to feel like I'm going in. So I got dressed like I was going to work and pulled up my hair, put on some jewelry, and I had this conversation in
my living room. I love that.
So
that is so cool.
And it was granted. Ultimately, there was a little bit of back and forth, but I'd say a key part of that conversation was my director telling me, this might be a little bit selfish, but I'd rather keep you part of the time than not at all.
Yes. And that is what, I don't know if you remember when we were having the conversation and I was saying to you, it's really important for you to highlight to them what you bring to the organization and how valuable you are, because for an organization, it's a lot harder to hire someone new and find someone great than it is to hold on to someone great that you already have. And so when you can highlight to them, look, this is what I brought to the organization, this is why I'm an asset, it's a lot easier for them to say yeah to whatever your request is.
It was. It got to the point actually in the conversation where he said, you don't have to convince me at how valuable you are. I'm like, okay, I'll stop talking now.
That is so cool. Okay, so I'm super pumped and excited that you have been able to create that for yourself, and now you have opportunities to work part-time. But I also know that you have some other passions. So can you share with everyone kind of your thoughts around launching your new podcast and what that is all about?
Yes. So deep down in my heart, I am a teacher of sorts. I that's how I got into training. I really do enjoy teaching. I enjoy developing materials, and I love watching people understand concepts and then apply them and then find them. And a passion of mine has always been organizing. Years ago, I actually considered launching an organization business, and I just never got through to it. Never really did it. And so that has really been kind of in the background, knocking on the back door, saying, "Hey, I'm still here. I'm still a passion." And when I was pregnant with my son, I had a lot more energy than I did when I was pregnant with my daughter. And one of the things I did was like, I'm getting ready for this kid. And as I was doing it, I just felt such a satisfaction. And I kind of got back to what I really found enjoyable. And as we kind of have developed a mommy group for my daughter, and it's interesting that almost half the mommy group has just had babies as well. So we all have approximately a 2-year-old, 3-year-old for the most part, and majority of us also have a child under 1. And it's just been fun talking with them about, oh, have you tried this trick? Have you tried that trick? And just in casual conversation and such. And it's just been a real eye-opening passion. Like, hey, if I could develop something that could help mothers, just mothers in general who are, and women in general, or maybe ones who are preparing for that life, how could I help them with realistic tips? Because a lot of our organization is hard and productivity is hard. I mean, I am not claiming to be the expert in the sense that like, I do not have a Pinterest worthy house, but my goal is to know where everything is in my house and to know what my stuff is, and to also not feel guilty in my schedule. Those are 2 big things, and I can't be the only one. So how do I do this? I am a podcast junkie. I love listening to podcasts. And so I thought, what better way than I'm used to talking, making audio for my career, for my job. So why can't I do that on a personal term?
Yeah, and I'm so excited. So I am someone who needs more organization in my life, and I'm sure as the ladies who are listening to this podcast are listening, they're probably nodding and saying yes. So can you give us a few tips? Like, busy mom, 2 kids, like what would be your top tips? Maybe give me 1 or 2 for
Oh, yes. Yes. Well, the first thing I'm going to tell you is, and it's kind of, maybe you've heard it before, I'm sure, but to give yourself grace. First of all, that is the most important thing, is to give yourself grace. You can do this. And you might have this idea in your head of what you want to do, but if you're doing something, anything, you are moving closer and closer toward that goal. You are one step closer than you were yesterday to that organization goal. So give yourself grace. Look at what you did accomplish today, not because what is going to happen is you are going to move from 0 to nothing over the course of time. Your house, your things did not accumulate in one day. If they did, I kind of want to know what your story is. And so it's not going to all happen in one day either. So first of all, give yourself grace. And secondly, we get so used to looking at things in our house and just assume that they need to be there. You can ask yourself the question, do I need this? And when you say, do I need this? Not, and what is your gut reaction? If it's somebody else's thing that there's passion, don't necessarily start throwing other people's things away. That's a whole separate topic that I'm sure I'll do a podcast on that sometime. But when you're looking at your own stuff, if you've been pushing around a makeup brush for the last 6 months in your makeup container, are you using it? Do you need it? Would it cost you $3 to replace it if you suddenly miraculously really needed it? Get rid of it. Throw it away. Or, if you are worried about items and wanting to rehome them, give them to the thrift store or what have you. So those would be off the top of my head, 2 things that first give yourself grace and then question what you're pushing around, question what you have. And if you got rid of it, would you miss it? Or would it actually bring, to quote what's kind of the in thing right now, would it bring you joy to actually have that space? Is the space more valuable than the item?
I think that is such a good question. Is the space more valuable than the item? Because I think over time things do accumulate. And I know that when we moved into our house, we live in a small house. And I said to my husband, I'm going to be very intentional. Let's be minimalist. Let's only have what we need. And that was all good before we had kids. And then we had kids and they've got so much junk. And it's like, I realized that it's important to revisit that over and over again, because as you get more stuff, you don't necessarily keep asking that question. And then you find yourself like constantly tidying up. But actually, if we had less stuff, there would be less stuff to tidy. So I remember I did that once with the dishes, and it was the best thing ever. So both my husband and I hate washing up, and we don't have space for a dishwasher. So I decided, instead of having like 25 plates in the cupboard, which is what we had, I'm taking them all away and I'm just leaving 4 plates. And so what that meant was we had to wash up the plates for the next meal, and it only took like a little bit of time to do that. And then we'd only bring out the extra plates whenever we have visitors. And it was like a game changer, save so much time, don't have the pile of dishes in the kitchen. And so I think, just thinking about, do we really need to be doing it in this way? Definitely makes sense.
Yes, definitely. Yes. And there's so many things that like pop into my head too. Cause like what you're talking about right now is you're also not only talking about the space and the decluttering and the usage, but you're also talking about completing a task. And that is what also makes you feel fulfilled. So if you, for example, with your dishes, if you have only 4 dishes, when you take a dish out of the cupboard and you eat something, that task isn't actually complete when you're done with your lunch. Because you still have a dirty dish. You still have to wash it. It still has to be dried. So you haven't completed the task, which is why you're feeling anxious about having too much stuff.
Right.
So in your example, you've taken the dish, you've washed the dish, you've put the dish away, the task is complete. So now you feel less anxiety and less overwhelm and more satisfaction.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. So for you, like, what tips would you give to, or advice would you give to anyone who is in that state of feeling like, okay, I'm completely overwhelmed with the house and managing stuff? Like, I know that you said before, give yourself grace and just accept what you have done. But if you were just, going into a new organization project and you were saying, okay, I want to get this room organized, what would you advise as like a strategy to go, how to get started?
The first thing I would say, so if you walked into a room, I would say focus on one area or one thing. So for example, if you're like, I have so much paper, focus on just the paper. Walk around your house, pick up all the paper in your house, and then go through it to shred or get rid of what you have, and keep your paper in one space. Now, when I say keep your paper, I mean keep your loose paper. If you have a filing cabinet, that's a whole separate issue. But if you've got, I'm talking about like the magazines and the birthday cards from 3 months ago and the permission slips for the kids' field trips and what have you, get that all together in one space. If you're working on a room, focus on just that room. Okay. And in that room, throw away the trash. Walk in there, bring your black trash bag or whatever, throw away what's garbage. And the next thing I would say is, if you are somebody who that you're like, I will throw away perfectly good clothes because I just don't have time to go to the thrift store and I don't go, and that will be phase 2, knock yourself out. But if you are also somebody who wants to make, you hate the thought of throwing away perfectly good clothes. You want somebody to use them, or, this thing still has life in it or what have you. I would say to get bags or boxes, containers, and mark them trash and the thrift store, and then keep, but like for a different room in the house. And as you go through that room, those are going to be the 3 boxes you focus on. Either trash, it goes away, maybe it stays in the room. Maybe that it's easier if you have a 4th bin that stays in this room. So trash, thrift store, keep for a different room in the house, and then you have the stuff that stays in the house.
Love that. I love a simple strategy. Like, we can do that. We can work with that.
Yes.
So for all of my guests that I have on the show, I always like to ask them about any inspirational quotes or mantras or sayings that they like to use or live by. Do you have any that you might like to share with us?
I do. And I love quotes. So I could just sit here all day and tell you all kinds of different quotes I love and such. But I think especially, I've been just feeling lately, just because I have this very busy feeling in my head right now, is every now and then, it's good to pause in our pursuit of being happy and just be happy. We're so worried about what's going on tomorrow. We're so worried about what's going on in 5 minutes. And you know what? That's okay, because especially being a mom, you need to have that worry. You need to be worried if your kid's going to fall off the stairs. You need to be worried what's going to happen next. That's okay. Or you're constantly thinking about the future. But sometimes it's okay to just allow yourself to just be happy, to just live in that moment. Yes, you need to put the dishes away, but if your kid just did the cutest darn thing that you have seen all day, let them know that that is going to be more important than the dishes.
Yeah.
It will be. You feel like it's not, but just give yourself 5 minutes. Just be happy for 5 minutes.
I love that.
So important.
I love that. And as you were saying that, I just thought of 2 examples of time with my kids recently where I was trying to explain to my son what future meant. He's like, what does the future mean? And I was trying to explain that, like, future is tomorrow, but then when we get to tomorrow, that will be the present. And I was just so like, in trying to explain it to him, though, it made me stop and think, like, how often am I living in the present? Like, I feel like I'm always in the future. And so it was a really great teachable moment for him, but also for me as well. So I think it is so important for us to, like you said, the future is important, but right now is right now. So we need to take that in and enjoy the moment. So yeah, that is absolutely amazing. So if people want to find out more about your organizational skills and your podcast and all that you're doing, where would be a good place for them to reach out to you?
So I am going to be launching my website, and you'll be able to find that at katherinetupy.com. That's KATHERINETUPY. Yes. .com. And you'll be able to find links to the podcast.
Awesome. So I'm going to put the links to those in the show notes and encourage everybody to go and check that out. Guys, I'm so excited because Katy and I had a conversation about her going and launching this podcast. And now the fact that she's launching it just makes me so excited. And I'm so proud of you for actually taking action and getting it going. So make sure you go and listen. It's been awesome interviewing you today, Katy.
Thank you, Janine. I really enjoyed being part of your show.
Thank you.
Isn't Catherine just lovely? It is such an honour and a pleasure to get to spend time with her and the other amazing women in my membership community. These women are smart, they're amazing, they're multi-talented, and they are fully committed to thriving in their careers and motherhood at the same time. So it just brings such joy to my heart to just see people within the community progressing and doing awesome things like launching podcasts and going for new opportunities and building businesses and negotiating flexibility. There's just so much going on and I love it. So if you are somebody who is looking to move your career to the next level, figuring out what it is you want to do next and could do with some support from other like-minded ladies, then the collective may well be for you. So head over to our website, lightboxcoaching.com, to find out more information and put your name on the waitlist for when we open the doors again. Launching and growing a membership community has been an amazing experience, and I have to give thanks to Stu McLaren, who was a guest on the show on episode 52, where he shared how to balance a thriving business with a family. Now, Stu is the person who I learned everything I needed to know about membership sites from. So he has a course called Tribe, which I took last year, and he is known in the industry as the king of membership sites. So if you would be interested in learning more about either launching a membership site or how they're run or why they might be a good thing for you to look into if you are a business owner or someone who has a message that you want to share with the world, a membership site is a great platform to do that. So he has a workshop coming up on the 25th of April where he breaks down all of the elements that you need in a successful membership community. So head over to the show notes at lightboxcoaching.com/episode 61 and click the link to the workshop so you can sign up for free and gain some of his very valuable golden nuggets around membership sites. Okay, so that's all from me today. If you have enjoyed this episode, please do share it with a friend, and I look forward to joining you again next time. Until then, look after you and look after your babies. This podcast features music from Ben Sound.